Next, Colin King.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. To the Minister for Tertiary Education, Skills and Employment, what recent announcements have the government made about boosting the number of people being trained in apprenticeships?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr Speaker, last week the Prime Minister announced a number of changes to the industry training system to boost skills and support jobs. Our initiatives include that from the 1st of January next year we will combine modern apprenticeships and other apprenticeship-type training under an expanded and improved scheme called New Zealand Apprenticeships, where apprentices will be provided with the same level of subsidy and support regardless of age. We will boost overall funding for apprenticeships by around $12 million in the first year, rising over time. We'll boost the educational content of apprenticeships to at least 120 credits, resulting in trainees gaining a Level 4 qualification. We'll set clearer roles and performance expectations for ITOs, increase competition by allowing employers access to industry training funding, and raise the profile and participation of apprenticeships through a reboot initiative.
Colin King.
Supplementary question to the Minister. What does the Apprenticeship Reboot Initiative involve and where has the funding come from?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr Speaker, under our Reboot Initiative, we will give the first 10,000 new apprentices who enrol after 1st of April this year $1,000 towards their tools and off-job course costs, or $2,000 if they are in priority construction trades. The same amount will also be paid to their employers in support of their costs in taking on an apprentice. The Apprenticeship Reboot and the general increase in funding to support New Zealand apprentices is being funded from the savings the government has achieved by removing phantom trainees from the industry training system. When we came into government, about 100,000 people a year were listed as being industry training who weren't actually achieving anything at all, and in fact 11 of them had passed away.
Order. The Right Honourable Winston Peters.
We all know that this Minister has had notice of this question, and the supplementaries as well probably, and surely he could be far more terse and to the point than that. It's tiresome.
Order. The Minister was actually giving information he was asked for in the question, and that's why I didn't stop him, but it was getting longish. I think the Minister had got through most of his answer, though, hadn't he? Supplementary question, Colin King.
Supplementary question, Mr Speaker, to the Minister. How will the government's changes to the industry training support the Christchurch rebuild?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr Speaker, these announcements form part of a comprehensive plan to boost trades training to take advantage of the Christchurch rebuild. Over the last 2 years, despite the memory fade of the opposition, the government has invested $64 million in trades training through Schools for Canterbury, which has provided 1,200 additional places in polytechs in 2011, more than 2,500 last year, and a similar number this year, plus, of course, our successful Māori and Pacifica trades training initiatives. This announcement will invest in $106 million more in New Zealand apprenticeships and wider industry training as the construction phase picks up in Christchurch and employers look to take on more staff.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Does the $106 million in funding for the apprenticeship package that was announced last week include the increased funding required to cover the base training cost of the additional 14,000 apprentices over the next 5 years that were part of the package?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr Speaker, no. The $106 million was calculated from the actual increase to those apprentices who are already in the system, and on top of that the apprenticeship reboot and also the increase in subsidy for industry training. The actual money for the additional 14,000 is on top of that again, which just increases the size of the government's investment.
Grant Robertson.
So can he then confirm that the package didn't include that base training cost for the 14,000 extra apprentices, which means using his own funding rate, there is a more than $50 million hole in the package he announced last week?
The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
No, not at all. The member is simply incorrect. Well, it's actually, I'll tell him, member, where the money is coming from. Removing some of the 100,000 phantom trainees has saved us, in fact, $40 to $50 million a year, and that money has been used to put into these new initiatives. And I'm absolutely confident we have the funding, not just for the reboot, not just for the increase in subsidy for apprentices, not just for the increase in subsidy for industry trainees, but also the ramp-up of the additional 14,000 apprentices.
Question number 7, Jacinda Ardern.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is